We're very lucky in this village to have so many talented people. And I am extremely grateful to Nick Allen for painting me a picture of a dead moon. I think he's made rather a good job of it. The day of a dead moon is a Zulu phrase for an eclipse of the sun. And did you know that at the climax of this mighty battle, the greatest defeat that the British were ever to suffer in their entire colonial history, the day went as dark as night at the moment of the last stand? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Battle of Isandlwana. As I said, it was the greatest defeat that the British were to suffer in their entire colonial history, and it was inflicted almost with impunity by a bunch of savages armed with sticks. Not my words, but those of Sir Henry Bartle Frere, the then High Commissioner in the Cape. So why are these two nations at war? Were they not friends? Before I answer that question, let us make ourselves comfortable. Let us assume that we're sitting on those green, gentle, grassy slopes of the Isandlwana mountain. Let us assume that it's going to be a very hot day, as indeed it was. We are sitting, looking eastwards across the plain, and about 10 miles away, shimmering in the heat, are the Isipingi Mountains. On the plain, about 4 miles out, on our right, there is a small conical hill, or kopje, as they call it in that part of the world. To our left, to the north, about 1.5 miles away, there is the Hutu Plateau. It stretches for about 4.5 miles in an easterly direction. And behind and above us is a sphinx-like shape of the Isandlwana mountain. So why are these two nations at war? I'm sorry to tell you, it's basically because the British wanted it so. That's not actually quite true. It's because one man wanted it so. Sir Henry Bartle Frere. About 10 years earlier, the British government had very successfully set up a federation of states in Canada, and they wanted to do the same in southern Africa, to bring together the Afrikaner, the African, and the British. But Bartle Frere did not believe that this was possible until the might and power of the Zulu nation had been destroyed. The government in London had told him that they did not want a war. They were already fighting in Afghanistan, and one war was more than enough. But Bartle Frere knew that the wireless had only got as far as Cape Verde Islands, that he had about a 3-month window in which to do what he wanted to do. And he wrote to Lord Chelmsford, the Commander-in-Chief of Her Majesty's Forces in South Africa, and asked him if he could destroy the Zulus within this time frame. Chelmsford's reply is famous and oft-quoted. "My dear Sir Bartle, it all depends whether I can get this chappie Chetawio, the Zulu king, out into the open to fight him." Chelmsford had spent the last year in the Eastern Cape fighting the Amahosas, and indeed he'd had a great deal of difficulty in getting the Amahosas out into the open. But he was making a grievous error when he was equating the Amahosas and the Zulus. Bartle Frere looked for an excuse to issue an ultimatum. He found one in a small border incident. And on the 16th of December 1878, underneath a wonderful old fig tree which sadly is no more on the southern bank of the Tugela River, he issued an ultimatum to the Zulus, saying that unless within a month they had handed in all their weapons, it was the intention of Her Majesty's government to come and do it for them. Zulus were flabbergasted. The British were their friends. They'd had no quarrel at any time. Nevertheless, Chetawio boomed out, "Go tell the great white queen, and let her hear this well." If she insists on sending her red soldiers to fight my soldiers, let her know that my soldiers are as numerous as the ants of the earth, and that my soldiers will eat up her soldiers. For some very good reasons, the Zulus did not see fit to comply with the terms of the ultimatum. And thus, on the 11th of January 1879, Lord Chelmsford, at the head of his column, crossed the Buffalo River, and the invasion of Zululand had begun.